So what I would do right now if I was Israel is I would try to say, number one, you want to get as many civilians out of Rafah as possible. I think that you want to try to clear that out. I know that with diplomacy, maybe you get them into Egypt. I know that that's been refused, but with the right diplomacy, I think it would be possible. But in addition to that, the thing that that I would try to do if I was Israel right now is I would just bulldoze something in the Negev. I would try to move people in there. I know that won't be the popular thing to do, but I think that that's a better option to do so that you can go in and finish the job. I think there was one decision point they had. Do we go into Gaza? Do we not go into Gaza? They had the hostages. There really was, I think, no choice but to do that. I think that they were smart to go slowly and deliberately. Gaza's booby-trapped like crazy. They have over 400 miles of underground tunnels. And so I think that they've taken some of the right steps in order to go there. But you have to, again, I think Israel's gone way more out of their way than a lot of other countries would to try to protect civilians from casualties. But I do think right now opening up the Negev, creating a secure area there, moving the civilians out, and then going in and finishing the job would be the right move.
But also there are real fears on the part of Arabs, and I'm sure you talk to a lot of them, who think once Gazans leave Gaza, Netanyahu's never going to let them back in.
Maybe, but I'm not sure there's much left of Gaza at this point. So, if you think about even the construct, like, Gaza was not really a historical precedent, right? It was the result of a war, right? You had tribes that were in different places, but then Gaza became a thing. Egypt, used to run it. And then, over time, you had different governments that came in different ways. So you have another war, usually when wars happen, borders are changed historically over time. And so my sense is I would say, how do we deal with the terror threat that is there, so that it cannot be a threat to Israel or to Egypt, right? I think that both sides are spending a fortune on military. I think neither side really wants to have, a terrorist organization enclaved right between them. And Gaza's waterfront property, it could be very valuable to, if people would focus on kind of building up, livelihoods. You think about all the money that's gone into this tunnel network and into all the munitions. If that would have gone into education or innovation, what could have been done? And so I think that it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there, but I think from Israel's perspective, I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up. But I don't think that Israel has stated that they don't want the people to move back there afterwards.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years. I'm hopeful that this ceasefire could be the beginning of a larger and more enduring peace that will end the bloodshed and killing once and for all. With the same goal in mind, my administration has been moving quickly to restore trust in the alliance and rebuild American strength throughout the region. And we've really done that. We're a respect.
And still I rise, Mr. Speaker. And I rise today, Mr. Speaker, with a to whom it may concern message. To whom it may concern, ethnic cleansing in Gaza is not a joke, especially when it emanates from the President of the United States, the most powerful person in the world, when he has the ability to perfect what he says. Ethnic cleansing in Gaza is no joke, and the Prime Minister of Israel should be ashamed, knowing the history of his people, to stand there and allow such things to be said. Ethnic cleansing has been a crime against humanity. And I stand here today in the well to denounce what was said, to denounce what the President said, to denounce the complicity of the Prime Minister of Israel, and to remind people that Dr. King was right. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And injustice in Gaza is a threat to justice in the United States of America. I rise to announce that the movement to impeach the president has begun. I rise to announce that I will bring articles of impeachment against the president for dastardly deeds proposed and dastardly deeds done. I also rise to say that the impeachment movement is going to be a grass-up movement, not a top-down. The people have got to move forward. The people have to demand it. And when the people demand it, it will be done. I did it before. I laid the foundation for impeachment, and it was done. Nobody knows more about it than I. And I know that it's time for us to lay the foundation again. On some issues, it is better to stand alone than not stand at all. On this issue, I stand alone, but I stand for justice. I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. Members are reminded to refrain from engaging in personalities toward the president.
Greetings and salutations here. Some people need to understand that elections has consequences. And some people need to also understand that the reason why we are here and the reason why we're at this point in history is because we don't know America at this point. I'm not sure about the rest of the Western world, but America does not know a damn thing about civics, and we need to return to what is civics. Now, I want you to check the links below, the links in the description box. Those are for references. So for the references, there are links in there. I want you to watch those links before or after you are done watching my my commentary on this. When it comes to the universal Declarations of Rights, the Universal Declaration of Rights was a treaty, was a preamble to the United Nations. And in the United Nations was created by the United States, the winning power, and its allies that have won the Second World War. And let me to inform people here. Treaties are laws. And what Donald Trump have done within the past couple of weeks is that he violated a law of the United States. Now, I know some person going to talk about America first. Okay. It's America first. And then you got people on here who talking about, I voted for Donald Trump because he was going to take America out of the Middle East. Now, if you listen to the footage from his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, from last spring, and if you listen to Mike Huckabee, who's the incoming ambassador to the state of Israel, and if you had listened to Donald Trump's speech with Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, the idea of turning Gaza into a place where there are casinos and waterfronts, and then pushing the idea of displacing the people in said nation. Now, in front of you, the definition of genocide, and what's the definition of ethnic cleansing. The definition of the crime of genocide is as contained in Article 2 of the Genocide Convention was the result of the negotiation process and reflects the compromise we reached among the United Nations member states in 1948 at a time of drafting the convention. Genocide is defined in the same terms in the Genocide Convention in the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, Article 6, as well as in the statute of other international and hybrid jurisdictions. Many states may also criminalize genocide in their domestic law. Others have yet to do so. The definition of genocide is in this it's based on Article, and let me read Article 2. In the present convention, genocide means of any following acts committed with intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnic, racial, or religious groups, such as 1. Killing members of the group. Number 2. Causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of said group. Deliberately inflicting on a group conditions of life calibrated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. Proposing measures intent to prevent births within the group. And number 5, forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. Now what was announced at the White House in the meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu and the idea of Jared Kushner is number 3. If you look at Article 2, Section 3, where it says deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or its part. That's what I believe what they're talking about. Now, in the Genocide Convention, established in Article 1 that the crime of genocide may take place in the context of an armed conflict, international or non-international, but in the context of a peaceful situation. The latter is less common but still possible. The same article established the obligation of the contracting parties to prevent and to punish the crime of genocide. The popular understanding of what constitutes genocide tends to be a broader than the content of the norm under international law. Article 2 of Genocide Convention now contains a narrow definition of the crime of genocide, which includes 2 main elements. A mental element, the intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical, racial or religious group as such, and number 2, a physical element which includes the following acts enumerated exclusively: the killing of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of said group, deliberately inflicting the group conditions of life, it says the same thing as above, right? So the United States government has signed in 1946 this part of the Genocide Convention. And like I said, since the United States has signed the agreement, signed the treaty, which is part of the treaty, therefore Donald Trump, along with Benjamin Netanyahu, have committed an act of, I would say genocide. And therefore, as for Donald Trump himself, he may violated a law. Therefore, he should be impeached. There should be an impeachment trial over this. Congressman Congressman Al Green from Houston, from South Houston, introduced introduced this on the floor of the House of Representatives. But let me go also sit there and say, what is ethnic cleansing? Now, the definition of ethnic cleansing itself is not a defined definition. So, and ethnic cleansing is in the context of is the according to the United Nations Commission of Experts, is rendering an area ethnically harmonious by using force or intimidation to remove persons of given groups from the area. That is a one of the definitions when it comes to ethnic cleansing, is to, and I'm going to repeat this again, that the rendering an area ethnically by using force or intimidation of removing persons of given groups from the area. As a purposeful policy designed by one ethnic or religious group to remove by violent or terror inspiring means the civilian population of another ethnic and religious group from certain geographical locations. And that also is part of the United Nations law that both the United States and Israel have signed on. So, far as I'm concerned, Donald Trump and any other person who backs the current regime in the Middle East has committed not only violated a campaign promise of bringing peace to the Middle East and not having American soldiers, because yes, during the statement by the current president, is that he wants America to own the Gaza Strip. And I believe, if you ask me, I believe that you just don't. I think the strategy in dealing with the president is try to try to use Amendment 25, because I think the best course is to address Donald Trump with Amendment 25 of his mental capability of being president. And also, if that doesn't work, try the impeachment. And don't only impeach Donald Trump, impeach the incoming ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, and Marco Rubio, who is the current Secretary of State. I believe that's the best course to take at this moment, because this is a violation of international law. There's been a lot of international laws, international treaties that has been broken. And yes, let me say this to the slow people in the back: treaties are laws. Because in the United States Constitution, the Senate has the advise and consent to agree to any international agreement or law. My name is BIGJXXX. I'll see you next time.